Exercise 213, Practicing Liaisons. Back up the CD to the last paragraph just read and repeat again. This time, however, read from the paragraph below. The intonation is marked for you in boldface. Use your rubber band on every stressed word. Exercise 214, Additional Liaison Practice. Use these techniques on text of your own and in conversation. 1. Take some written material and mark the intonation, then the word groups, and finally the liaisons. 2. Practice saying it out loud. 3. Record yourself and listen back. In conversation, think which word you want to make stand out and change your pitch on that word. Then, run the in-between words together in the valleys. Listen carefully to how Americans do it and copy the sound. Exercise 215, Colloquial Reductions and Liaisons. In order for you to recognize these sounds when used by native speakers, they're presented here, but I don't recommend that you go out of your way to use them yourself. If at some point they come quite naturally of their own accord in casual conversation, you don't need to resist, but please don't force yourself to talk this way. Repeat. I've got to go. I've got a book. Do you want to dance? Want a banana? Let me in. Let me go. I'll let you know. Did you do it? Not yet. I'll meet you later. What do you think? What'd you do with it? How'd you like it? When'd you get it? Why'd you take it? Why don't you try it? What are you waiting for? What you doing? How's it going? Where's the whatchamacallit? Where's what's-his-name? How about it? He's got to hurry 'cause he's late. I could have been a contender. Could you speed it up, please? Would you mind if I tried it? Aren't you Bob Barker? Can't you see it my way for a change? Don't you get it? I should have told you. Tell her I miss her. Tell him I miss him. To have your liaisons tested, call 800-457-4255. Exercise 216, Liaison Staircases. You're going to make staircases again from the paragraph below, pretty much as you did in Exercise 117 on page 16. This time, instead of putting a whole word on each stair step, put a single sound on each step. This is also similar to the second part of the Dogs Eat Bones exercise, 138 on page 36. Use the liaison techniques that you have just learned to connect the words, then regroup them and place one sound unit on a step. As before, start a new staircase every time you stress a word. Remember, new sentences don't have to start new staircases. A staircase can continue from one sentence to another until you come to a stressed word. Pause the CD. Chapter 3, Cat, Caught, Tut. After laying our foundation with intonation and liaisons, here we finally begin to refine your pronunciation. We're now going to work on the differences between ah, and as well as o, a, and e. Let's start out with the ah sound. The ah sound. Although not a common sound, ah is very distinctive to the ear and is typically American. In the practice paragraph in Exercise 3.2, this sound occurs 5 times. As its phonetic symbol indicates, ah is a combination of ah and eh. To pronounce it, drop your jaw down as if you're going to say ah. Then from that position, try to say eh. The final sound is not 2 separate vowels, but rather the end result of the combination. It's very close to the sound that a goat makes, meh. Try it a few times now. Ah, ah. Ah, ah. If you find yourself getting too nasal with ah, pinch your nose as you say it. If cat turns into can't, you need to pull the sound out of your nose and down into your throat. The ah sound. The ah sound occurs a little more frequently. You'll find 10 such sounds in the exercise. To pronounce ah, Relax your tongue and drop your jaw as far down as it'll go. As a matter of fact, put your hand under your chin and say ma, pa, ta, sa. Your hand should be pushed down by your jaw as it opens. Remember, it's the sound that you make when the doctor wants to see your throat, so open it up and drop your jaw. The schwa sound. Last is the schwa, the most common sound in American English. When you work on exercise 3-2, depending on how fast you speak, how smoothly you make liaisons, how strong your intonation is, and how much you relax your sounds, you'll find from 50 to 75 schwas. Spelling doesn't help identify it because it can appear as any one of the vowels or a combination of them. It's a neutral vowel sound, It's usually in an unstressed syllable, though it can be stressed as well. Whenever you find a vowel that can be crossed out and its absence wouldn't change the pronunciation of the word, you've probably found a schwa. Photography. The two apostrophes show the location of the neutral vowel sounds. Because it's so common, however, the wrong pronunciation of this one little sound can leave your speech strongly accented, even if you Americanized everything else. Exercise 3-1. Word by word and in a sentence. That. He said that it's okay. Than. It's bigger than before. As soon as he gets here. At. Look at the time. And. Ham and eggs. Have. Where have you been? Had. He'd been at home. Can you do it? Exercise 3-2. Finding a, and sounds. There are 5 a, 10 and 75 sounds in the following paragraph. Underscore them in pen or pencil. The first one of each sound is marked for you. Next, check your answers with the answer key beginning on page 193. Finally, take your markers and give a color to each sound. For example, mark a green, blue, and yellow. Turn your CD off and read the paragraph 3 times on your own. Exercise 3-3, vowel sound differentiation. Here, we'll read down from 1 to 24, then we'll read across. Give the A sound a clear double sound, A-E. Also, the O is a longer sound than you might be expecting. Add the full oo sound after each O. An, ban, can, cat, dan, fan, gap, hat, jan, lamp, man, matter, nan, gnat, pan, ran, sand, shall, chance, tack, van, wax, yam, zap, on, bond, con, cot, dawn, fawn, gone, hot, John, lawn, monster, motto, non, not, pawn, ron, son, Sean, chalk, talk, Vaughn, want, yawn, czar, bun, come, cut, done, fun, gun, hut, jump, lump, Monday, mutter, none, nut, pun, run, sun, shut, chuck, tuck, vug, one, young, result, across, one, an, on, un, 2. Ban, bond, bun. 3. Can, con, come. 4. Cat, caught, cut. To have your pronunciation tested, call 1-800-457-4255. Exercise 3-4, reading the A sound. The tan man. A fashionably tan man sat casually at the bat stand, lashing a handful of practice bats. The manager, a crabby old bag of bones, passed by and laughed. "You're about average, Jack. Can't you lash faster than that?" Jack had had enough, so he clambered to his feet and lashed bats faster than any man had ever lashed bats. As a matter of fact, he lashed bats so fast that he seemed to dance. The manager was aghast. "Jack, you're a master bat lasher," he gasped. Satisfied at last, Jack sat back and never lashed another bat. Pause the CD and read The Tan Man aloud. Turn it back on to continue. Exercise 3-5, reading the ah sound. A lot of long hot walks in the garden. John was not sorry when the boss called off the walks in the garden. Obviously to him, it was awfully hot, and the walks were far too long. He had not thought that walking would have caught on the way it did, and he fought the policy from the onset. At first, he thought he could talk it over at the law office and have it quashed. But a small obstacle halted that thought. The top lawyers always bought coffee at the shop across the lawn, and they didn't want to stop on John's account. John's problem was not office politics, but office policy. He resolved the problem by bombing the garden. Pause the CD and read a lot of long hot walks in the garden aloud. Exercise 3-6, reading the sound. When you read the following schwa paragraph, try clenching your teeth the first time. It won't sound completely natural, but it'll get rid of all the excess lip and jaw movement and force your tongue to work harder than usual. Remember that in speaking American English, we don't move our lips much, and we talk through our teeth from far back in our throats. I'm going to read with my teeth clenched together, and you follow along holding your teeth together. What must the sun above wonder about? Some pundits proposed that the sun wonders unnecessarily about sundry and assorted conundrums. One cannot but speculate what can come of their proposal. It wasn't enough to trouble us, but it was done so underhandedly that hundreds of sun lovers rushed to the defense of their beloved sun. None of this was relevant on Monday, however, when the sun burned up the entire country. Pause the CD and read What Must the Sun Above Wonder About twice. Try it once with your teeth clenched the first time and normally the second time. Chapter 4, The American T. The American T is influenced very strongly by intonation and its position in a word or phrase. At the top of a staircase, T is pronounced T, as in Ted or Italian. A T in the middle of a staircase is pronounced as D, Betty, Italy. Whereas a T at the bottom of a staircase isn't pronounced at all, hot. Look at Italian and Italy in the examples below. The tal of Italian is at the top of the staircase and is strong, Italian. The d of Italy is in the middle and is weak, Italy. Exercise 4-1. Stressed and unstressed T. Repeat after me. Italian, Italy. Attack, attic. Atomic, atom. Photography, photograph. Exercise 4-2. Betty bought a bit of better butter. In the sentence, Betty bought a bit of better butter, all of the T's are in weak positions, so they all sound like soft D's. Repeat the sentence slowly, word by word. Betty, botta, bitta, better, butter. Feel the tip of your tongue flick across that area behind your top teeth. Think of the music of a cello again when you say, Betty bought a bit of better butter. Repeat. Betty bought a bit of better butter. But, said she, this butter's bitter. If I put it in my batter, it'll make my batter bitter. Exercise 4-3. Rule 1. Top of the staircase. When a T is at the top of a staircase in a stressed position, it should be a clear, popped sound. 1. In the beginning of a word, T is T. Ted took 10 tomatoes. 2. With a stressed T and ST, TS, TR, CT, and LT, and sometimes NT combinations, T is T. He was content with the contract. 3. T replaces D in the past tense after an unvoiced consonant sound. F, k, p, s, ch, sh, except T. T. Laughed, picked, hoped, raced, watched, washed, unearthed. D. Halved, rigged, nabbed, raised, judged, garaged, smoothed. Exceptions: wicked, naked, crooked, etc. Read the following sentences out loud. Make sure the underlined, stressed T's are sharp and clear. 1. It took Tim 10 times to try the telephone. 2. Stop touching Ted's toes. 3. Turn toward Stella and study her contract together. 4. Control your tears. 5. It's Tommy's turn to tell the teacher the truth. Exercise 4-4, Rule 2, middle of the staircase. An unstressed T in the middle of a staircase between two vowel sounds should be pronounced as a soft D. Betty bought a bit of better butter. Pat ought to sit on a lap. Read the following sentences out loud. Make sure that the underlined, unstressed T's sound like a soft D. 1. What a good idea. 2. Put it in a bottle. 3. Write it in a letter. 4. Set it on the metal gutter. 5. Put all the data in the computer. 6. Insert a quarter in the meter. 7. Get a better water heater. 8. Let her put a sweater on. 9. Betty's at a meeting. 10. It's getting hotter and hotter. 11. Patty ought to write a better letter. 12. Frida had a little metal bottle. Exercise 4-5. Rule 3, bottom of the staircase. T at the bottom of a staircase is in the held position. 1. She hit the hot hut with her hat. 2. We went to that net site to get what we needed. 3. Pat was quite right, wasn't she? 4. What? Put my hat back. 5. Hot, late, fat, goat, hit, put, not, hurt, what, set, paint, wait, sit, dirt, note, fit, lot, light, suit, point, incident, type. Exercise 4-6, Rule 4. Held T before N. The held T is, strictly speaking, not really a T at all. 1. He's forgotten the carton of satin mittens. 2. She's certain that he has written it. 3. The cotton curtain is not in the fountain. 4. The hikers went in the mountains. 5. Martin has gotten a kitten. 6. Students study Latin in Britain. 7. Whitney has a patent on those sentences. 8. He has not forgotten what was written about the mutant on the mountain. 9. It's not certain that it was gotten from the fountain. 10. You need to put an orange cotton curtain on that window. 11. We like that certain satin better than the carton of cotton curtains. 12. The Intercontinental Hotel is in Seattle. 13. The frightened witness had forgotten the important written message. 14. The child wasn't beaten because he'd bitten the button. Exercise 4-7, Rule 5, the silent T. T and N are so close in the mouth that the T can simply disappear. Repeat. 1. Interview. 2. Interface. 3. Internet. 4. Interstate. 5. Interrupt. 6. Interfere. 7. Interactive. 8. International. 9. Advantage. 10. Percentage. 11. 20. 12. Printout. 13. Printer. 14. Winter. 15. Enter. Exercise 4-8, Rule 5, the silent T. Read the following sentences out loud. Make sure that the underlined T's are silent. 1. He had a great interview. 2. Try to enter the information. 3. Turn the printer on. 4. Finish the printing. 5. She's at the International Center. 6. It's 20 degrees in Toronto. 7. I don't understand it. 8. She invented it in Santa Monica. 9. He can't even do it. 10. They don't even want it. 11. They won't ever try. 12. What's the point of it? 13. She's the Intercontinental representative. 14. Hasn't he? 15. Isn't he? 16. Aren't I? 17. Won't he? 18. Doesn't he? 19. Wouldn't it? 20. Didn't I? Exercise 4-9, Karina's T connections. Here are some extremely common middle T combinations. Repeat after me. Whata, butta, thutta. What I, but I, that I. Exercise 4-10, Combinations in context. Repeat the following sentences. 1. I don't know what it means. 2. But it looks like what I need. 3. But you said that you wouldn't. 4. I know what you think. 5. But I don't think that he will. 6. He said that if we can do it, he'll help. 7. But isn't it easier this way? 8. We want something that isn't here. 9. You'll like it, but you'll regret it later. 10. But he's not right for what I want. 11. It's amazing what you've accomplished. 12. What if he forgets? 13. Okay, but aren't you missing something? 14. I think that he's okay now. 15. She wanted to, but her car broke down. 16. We think that you're taking a chance. 17. They don't know what it's about. Exercise 411. Voiced and unvoiced sounds with T. This exercise is for the practice of the difference between words that end in either a vowel or a voiced consonant, which means that the vowel is lengthened or doubled. Therefore, these words are on a much larger, longer stair step. Words that end in an unvoiced consonant are on a smaller, shorter stair step. This occurs whether the vowel in question is tense or lax. Ha, hod, hot. Har, hard, heart. Haul, hauled, halt. Her, heard, hurt. Hole, hold, holt. Hoe, hoed. Ca, cod, cot. Car, card, cart. Call, called. Cur, curd, curt. Coal, cold, colt. Co, code, coat. Exercise 412, Finding American T sounds. Once again, go over the following familiar paragraph. First, find all the T's that are pronounced D. There are 9 to 13 here. Second, find all the held T's. There are 7. The first of each is marked for you. Pause the CD and do this, and don't forget to check your answers with the answer key beginning on page 193 when you finish. Chapter 5, the L. This chapter discusses the sound of L, not to be confused with that of the American R, which is covered in the next chapter. We'll approach this sound first by touching on the difficulties it presents to foreign speakers of English, and next by comparing L to the related sounds of T, D, and N. L compared with T, D, and N. When you learn to pronounce the L correctly, you'll feel its similarity with T, D, and N. Actually, the tongue is positioned in the same place in the mouth for all 4 sounds, behind the teeth. The difference is in how and where the air comes out. T and D. The sound of both T and D is produced by allowing a puff of air to come out over the tip of the tongue. N. The sound of N is nasal. The tongue completely blocks all air from leaving through the mouth, allowing it to come out only through the nose. You should be able to feel the edges of your tongue touching your teeth when you say L. With the L, the tip of the tongue is securely touching the roof of the mouth behind the teeth, but the sides of the tongue are dropped down and tense. This is where L is different from N. With N, the tongue is relaxed and covers the entire area around the back of the teeth so that no air can come out. With L, the tongue is very tense and the air comes out around its sides. At the beginning, it's helpful to exaggerate the position of the tongue. Look at yourself in the mirror as you stick out the tip of your tongue between your front teeth. With your tongue in this position, say L several times. Then try saying it with your tongue behind your teeth. This sounds complicated, but it's easier to do than to describe. You can practice this again later with exercise 5-3. Our first exercise, however, must focus on differentiating the sounds. Exercise 5-1. Sounds comparing L with T, D, and N. For this exercise, concentrate on the different ways in which the air comes out of the mouth when producing each sound of L, T, D, and N. Look at the drawings included here to see the correct position of the tongue. Instructions for reading the groups of words listed next are given after the words. TD are plosive. A puff of air comes out over the tip of the tongue is somewhat tense. N is nasal. Air comes out through the nose. The tongue is completely relaxed. L is lateral. Air flows around the sides of the tongue. The tongue is very tense. The lips are not rounded. Exercise 5-2. Sounds comparing L with T, D, and N. Repeat after me, first down and then across. 1. At the beginning of a word. La, lo, li, na, no, ni, ta, to, ti, da, do, di, la, na, ta, da, lo, no, to, do, li, ni, ti, di. 2. In the middle of a word. Belly, collar, alley, Benny, Connor, Annie's, Betty, Cotter, at ease, belly, Benny, Betty, collar, Connor, Cotter, alley, Annie's, at ease. 3. At the end of a word. A. Hole, hold, hone, hoed, call, called, con, cod. B. Fill, full, fool, fail, fell, feel, fuel, furl. Repeat the last group of words. Fill, full, fool, fail, fell, feel, fuel, furl. Once you're comfortable with your tongue in this position, let it just languish there while you continue vocalizing, which is what a native speaker does. Repeat again. Fill, full, fool, fail, feel, fuel, furl. Exercise 5-3. Final L with schwa. Repeat after me. 1. Fill. 2. Full. 3. Fool. 4. Fail. 5. Fell. 6. Feel. 7. Fuel. 8. Furl. Exercise 5-4. Many final L's. This time, simply hold the L sound extra long. Repeat after me. 1. Fill. 2. Full. 3. Fool. 4. Fail. 5. Fell. 6. Feel. 7. Fuel. 8. Furl. Exercise 5-5. Liaise the L's. As you work with the following exercise, here are 2 points you should keep in mind. When a word ends with an L sound, either A, connect it to the next word if you can, or B, add a slight schwa for an exaggerated L sound. For example, A, enjoyables. B, possible. Exercise 5-6, finding L sounds. Pause the CD and find and mark all the L sounds in the familiar paragraph below. The first one is marked for you. There are 17 of them. 5 are silent. Afterwards, check the answer key beginning on page 193. Exercise 5-7, silent L's. Once you've found all the L sounds, the good news is that very often you don't even have to pronounce them. Read the following list of words after me. 1. Would, could, should. 2. Chalk, talk, walk. 3. Calm, palm, psalm. 4. Already, all right, almond. 5. Although, almost, always. 6. Salmon, alms, Albany. 7. Folk, caulk, polka. Exercise 5-8. Hold your tongue. You and I are going to read with our tongues firmly held at the roofs of our mouths. If you want, hold a clean dime there with the tongue's tip. The dime will let you know when you've dropped your tongue because it'll fall out. Do not use candy. It'll hold itself there since wet candy's sticky. If you prefer, you can read with your tongue between your teeth instead of the standard behind the teeth position and use a small mirror. Remember that with this technique, you can actually see your tongue disappear as you hear your L sounds drop off. It's going to sound ridiculous, of course, and nobody would ever intentionally sound like this, but no one will hear you practice. You don't want to sound like this. Force your tongue to make all the various vowels in spite of its position. Let's go. Viva Lola. Exercise 5-9. Little Lola. Now that we've done this, instead of L being a hard letter to pronounce, it's the easiest one because the tongue is stuck in that position. Pause the CD to practice the reading on your own, again with your tongue stuck to the top of your mouth. Read the paragraph after me with your tongue in the normal position. Use good strong intonation. Follow my lead as I start dropping H's here. Little Lola felt left out in life. She told herself that luck controlled her, and she truly believed that only by loyally following an exalted leader could she be delivered from her solitude. Unfortunately, she learned a little late that her life was her own to deal with. When she realized it, she was already eligible for Social Security, and she had lent her lifelong earnings to a lowlife in Long Beach. She lay on her linoleum and slid along the floor in anguish. A little later, she leapt up and laughed. She no longer longed for a leader to tell her how to live her life. Little Lola was finally all well. Exercise 5-10. Dull versus dull. Repeat after me. Laid, ladle, lay dull. To hear the difference between dull and dull, contrast the sentences. Don't lay dull tiles and don't ladle tiles. Lay dull, ladle. Exercise 5-11, final L practice. Repeat the following lists. Bull, pull, wool, full, Schultz, toll, yole, ball, haul, hauled, paul, wall, fall, shawl, tall, vault, yawl, call, owl, howl, howled, towel, foul, towel, vowel, yowl, cowl, bell, hell, held, tell, well, fell, shell, tell, velt, yell, Kelly, bail, hail, hailed, pale, whale, fail, shale, tail, veil, yale, kale, bowl, hole, hold, pole, hole, foal, shoal, toll, vole, cold, beal, heel, healed, peel, wheel, feel, shield, teal, veal, yield, keel, bottle, huddle, hurdle, poodle, wheedle, feedle, shuttle, turtle, vital, yodel, coddle. Exercise 512. 30 little turtles in a bottle of bottled water. Repeat the following paragraph, focusing on the consonant plus schwa-l combinations. 30 little turtles in a bottle of bottled water. A bottle of bottled water held 30 little turtles. It didn't matter that each turtle had to rattle a metal ladle in order to get a little bit of noodles. A total turtle delicacy. The problem was that there were many turtle battles for the less the noodles of noodles. The littlest turtles always lost because every time they thought about grappling with the haggler turtles, their little turtle minds boggled, and they only caught a little bit of noodles. Exercise 513, speed reading. We've already practiced strong intonation, so now we'll just pick up the speed. First, I'm going to read our familiar paragraph as fast as I can. Subsequently, you'll practice on your own, and then we'll go over it together, sentence by sentence, to let you practice reading very fast right after me. By then, you'll have more or less mastered the idea, so record yourself reading really fast and with very strong intonation. Listen back to see if you sound more fluent. Listen as I read. Hello, my name is Anne. I'm taking American accent training. There's a lot to learn, but I hope to make it as enjoyable as possible. I should pick up on the American intonation pattern pretty easily, although the only way to get it is to practice all the time. I use the up and down or peaks and valleys intonation more than I used to. I've been paying attention to pitch, too. It's like walking down a staircase. I've been talking to a lot of Americans lately, and they tell me that I'm easier to understand. Anyway, I could go on, but the important thing is to listen well and sound good. Well, what do you think? Do I? Pause the CD and practice speed reading on your own 5 times. Repeat each sentence after me. Hello, my name is Anne. I'm taking American accent training. There's a lot to learn, but I hope to make it as enjoyable as possible. I should pick up on the American intonation pattern pretty easily, although the only way to get it is to practice all the time. I use the up and down or peaks and valleys intonation more than I used to. I've been paying attention to pitch, too. It's like walking down a staircase. I've been talking to a lot of Americans lately, and they tell me that I'm easier to understand. Anyway, I could go on, but the important thing is to listen well and sound good. Well, what do you think? Do I? Record yourself speed reading with strong intonation. Exercise 514, tandem reading. The last reading that I'd like you to do is one along with me. Up to now, I've read first, and you've repeated in the pause that followed. Now, however, I'd like you to read along at exactly the same time that I read, so that we sound like one person reading. Hello, my name is Anne. I'm taking American accent training. Read along with me. Hello, my name is Anne. I'm taking American accent training. There's a lot to learn, but I hope to make it as enjoyable as possible. I should pick up on the American intonation pattern pretty easily, although the only way to get it is to practice all the time. I use the up and down or peaks and valleys intonation more than I used to. I've been paying attention to pitch, too. It's like walking down a staircase. I've been talking to a lot of Americans lately, and they tell me that I'm easier to understand. Anyway, I could go on, but the important thing is to listen well and sound good. Well, what do you think? Do I? Voice quality. In the next chapter, we'll be working on a sound that's produced deep in the throat, the American R. In Chapter 3, we studied 2 tense vowels, a and ah, and the completely neutral schwa, The ah sound has a tendency to sound a little nasal all on its own, And when other vowels are nasalized as well, it puts your whole voice in the wrong place. This is an opportune moment, then, to go into the quality of your voice. In my observation, when people speak a foreign language, they tense up their throat, so their whole communication style sounds forced, pinched, strained, artificial, or nasal. The foreign speaker's voice is also generally higher pitched than would be considered desirable. To practice the difference between high pitch and lower pitch, work on uh-oh. In addition to pitch, this exercise will let you discover the difference between a tinny nasal sound and a deep, rich, mellifluous basso profundo tone. The tilde is used to indicate a nasal sound. Exercise 515, shifting your voice position. Pinch your nose closed and say, You should feel a high vibration in your nasal passages as well as in your fingers. Now, continue holding your nose and completely relax your throat. Allow an ah sound to flow from deep in your chest. Ah. There should be no vibration in your nose at all. Go back and forth several times. Ah. Ah. Next, we practice flowing from one position to the other so that you can feel exactly when it changes from a nasal sound to a deep, rich schwa. Remember how it was imitating a man's voice when you were little? Do that. Pinch your nose and repeat after me. Here we'll practice the same progression, but we'll stick with the same sound. Ah. As you'll see in Chapter 12, there are 3 nasal consonants, M, N, and NG. These have non-nasal counterparts, M, B, N, D, N, G. We're going to practice totally denasalizing your voice for a moment, which means turning the nasals into the other consonants. We'll read the same sentence 3 times. The first will be quite nasal. The second will sound like you have a cold. The third will have appropriate nasal consonants, but denasalized vowels. Repeat after me.
Mary might need money.
Barry might need money. Mary might need money. Now that you've moved your voice out of your nose and down into your diaphragm, let's apply it. A lot of long, hot walks in the garden. John was not sorry when the boss called off the walks in the garden. Obviously, to him, it was awfully hot, and the walks were far too long. He had not thought that walking would have caught on the way it did, and he fought the policy from the onset. Chapter 6, The American R. American English today, although continually changing, is made up of the sounds of the various people who've come to settle here from many countries. All of them have put in their linguistic 2 cents, the end result being that the easiest way to pronounce things has almost always been adopted as the most American. R is an exception, along with L and the sounds of A and th, and is one of the most troublesome sounds for people to acquire. Not only is it difficult for adults learning the language, but also for American children who pronounce it like a W or skip over it altogether and only pick it up after they've learned all the other sounds. Exercise 6-1, R location practice. Repeat after me. G, grr, Greek, green, grass, grow, crow, core, cork, coral, cur, curl, girl, gorilla, her, erg, error, mirror, whir, war, gore, wrong, ringer, church, pearl. While you're perfecting your R, you might want to rush to it, and in doing so neglect the preceding vowel. There are certain vowels that you can neglect, but there are others that demand their full sound. We're going to practice the ones that require you to keep that clear sound before you add an R. Exercise 6-2, double vowel sounds with R. Refer to the subsequent lists of sounds and words as you work through each of the directions that follow them. Repeat each sound, first the vowel and then the and each word in columns 1 to 3. We'll read all the way across. A, ha, hard. E, he, here. E, she, share. O, mo, more. Were. We'll next read column 3 only. Try to keep that doubled sound, but let the vowels flow smoothly into the Imagine a double stair step that cannot be avoided. Don't make them too staccato sounds, though, like ha-erd. Instead, follow them smoothly over the double stair step. Hard. Ready? Hard. Here. Share. More. Were. Of course, they're not that long. This is an exaggeration, and you're going to shorten them up once you get better at that sound. When you say the first one, hard, to get your jaw open for the ha, imagine that you're getting ready to bite into an apple. Ha. Then for the sound, you'd bite into it. Hard. Hard. Pause the CD to practice 5 times on your own. Exercise 6-3, how to pronounce troublesome R's. The following 7 R sounds, which are represented by the 10 words, give people a lot of trouble, so we're going to work with them and make them easy for you. 1. Were. 2. Word. 3. Whirl. 4. World. 5. War. 6. Whorl. 7. Where. The following words are typical in that they're spelled one way and pronounced another way. The R combination frequently sounds like as in embarrass. This sound is particularly clear on the West Coast. On the East Coast, you may hear embarrass. Exercise 6-4, Spigness Epsilon List. Repeat after me. Embarrass. Vocabulary. Parent. Parallel. Paragraph. Para. Parrot. Apparent. Parish. Paris. Area. Aware. Compare. Imaginary. Stationary. Care. Carry. Carriage. Marriage. Maritime. Barrier. Baritone. Barons. Library. Character. Karen. Harry. Mary. Larry. Sarah. Narrate. Guarantee. Larynx. Laryngitis. Necessary. Itinerary. Said. Says. Transparency. Dictionary. Many. Any. Exercise 6-5, R combinations. Don't think about spelling here. Just pronounce each column of words as the heading indicates. Earn, hurt, heard, pert, word, a word, work, first, firm, rather, murky, spur, sure, churn, gird, cur, turtle, dirt, stir, sir, burn, art, heart, hard, part, far, farm, cathartic, mar, spar, sharp, char, guard, car, tar, dark, star, sorry, barn, air, hair, haired, pair, wear, aware, where, fair, fairy, there, mare, spare, share, chair, scared, care, tear, dare, stare, Sarah, bear, or, horse, hoard, pour, war, award, warm, for, form, Thor, more, sport, shore, chore, gourd, core, tore, door, store, sore, born, ear, hear, hears, peer, weir, a weird, weird, fear, fierce, theory, mirror, spear, sheer, cheer, geared, keer, tear, dear, steer, sear, beer, hour, hour, power, flower, 11th hour, shower, chowder, gower, cower, tower, dower, sour, bower. Exercise 6-6, the mirror store. Repeat after me. The Hurly-Burly Mirror Store at Vermont and Beverly featured hundreds of first-rate mirrors. There were several mirrors on the chest of drawers, and the largest one was turned toward the door in order to make the room look bigger. One of the girls who worked there was concerned that a bird might get hurt by hurtling into its own reflection. She learned by trial and error how to preserve both the mirrors and the birds. Her earnings were proportionately increased at the mirror store to reflect her contribution to the greater good. Pause the CD to practice reading out loud 3 times on your own. Exercise 6-7, finding the R sound. Pause the CD and go through our familiar paragraph and find all the R sounds. The first one is marked for you. Check your answers with the answer key beginning on page 193. Telephone tutoring, follow-up diagnostic analysis. After 3 to 6 months, you're ready for the follow-up analysis. If you're studying on your own, please contact toll-free 1-800-457-4255 or AmericanAccent.com for a referral to a qualified telephone analyst. The diagnostic analysis is designed to evaluate your current speech patterns to let you know where your accent is standard and non-standard. Review Exercise 1. To have a friend, be a friend. Take the repeated phrase in the following application steps. Apply each concept indicated there, one at a time, and in the sequence given. Read the sentence out loud 2 or 3 times, concentrating only on the one concept. This means that when you're working on liaisons, for instance, you don't have to pay much attention to intonation, just for that short time. First, read the phrase with no preparation and record yourself doing it. To have a friend, be a friend. Review Exercise 2. To have a friend, be a friend. Pause the CD and go through each step using the following explanation as a guide. Practice the sequence of steps a couple of times and record yourself again. Place your second recording right after the first one on your tape. Play them both back and see if you hear a strong difference. Review Exercise 3. Get a better water heater. Pause the CD and go through the same steps with Get a better water heater. Review Exercise 4. Your own sentence. Pause the CD and apply the steps to your own sentences. Review Exercise 5. Varying emotions. Repeat the following statement and response expressing the various feelings or tone indicated in parentheses. Anger. I told you it wouldn't work. I thought it would. Excitement. I told you it wouldn't work. I thought it would. Disbelief. I told you it wouldn't work. And I thought it would. Smugness. I told you it wouldn't work. I thought it would. Humor. I told you it wouldn't work. I thought it would. Sadness. I told you it wouldn't work. I thought it would. Relief. I told you it wouldn't work. Phew, I thought it would. Resignation. I told you it wouldn't work. I thought it would. Pause the CD and repeat the statement using 3 other tones that you'd like to try. Now that you've run through a couple of emotions and practiced speaking with both meaning and feeling, try having some 2-word conversations. These are pretty common in day-to-day situations. Review exercise 6. Really? Maybe. Repeat the following statements and responses expressing the various feelings. 1. Really? Maybe. 2. Really? Maybe. 3. Really? Maybe. 4. Really? Maybe. 5. Really? Maybe. 6. Really? Maybe. 7. Really? Maybe. 8. Really? Maybe. 9. Really? Really. Pause the CD and try 3 on your own. Review exercise 7. Who did it? I don't know. Repeat the following statements and responses expressing the various feelings. 1. Who did it? I don't know. 2. Who did it? I don't know. 3. Who did it? I don't know. 4. Who did it? I don't know. 5. Who did it? I don't know. 6. Who did it? I don't know. 7. Who did it? I sure don't know. 8. Who did it? I don't know. 9. Who did it? I don't know. 10. Who did it? I don't know. 11. Who did it? I don't know. Review exercise 8. Russian rebellion.
Russia's offensive against rebels in the breakaway region of Chechnya is entering a new phase. On the one hand, Russian forces are taking full control of the Russian capital, Grozny, and Moscow says the war seems to be turning in its favor. On the other hand, the rebels could be retreating Grozny just to fight another day, ensuring a long guerrilla war. The 4-month conflict topped the agenda today during Secretary of State Madeleine Albright's talks with acting Russian President Vladimir Putin. Albright then left for Croatia, about which we'll hear more shortly. But first, we turn to the world's Nenad Shevek in Moscow.
Albright and Putin met for longer than planned today, for nearly 3 hours. After their talks, Albright called the meeting intense but pleasant and offered this assessment of Russia's acting president.
I found him a very well-informed person. He's obviously a Russian patriot and also someone who seeks a normal position for Russia within the West. And he struck me as a problem solver.
2-word phrases. Review exercise A. Contrasting descriptive and set phrases. Here we're reprising the exercise from exercises 124 to 137. To review, an adjective and a noun make a descriptive phrase, and the second word is stressed. 2 nouns make a compound noun, or set phrase, and the first word is stressed. Repeat the following sentences. Copy your descriptive phrases and set phrases, exercise 131. You'll continue using these word combinations throughout this series of exercises. 1. It's a short nail. It's a fingernail. 2. It's a chocolate cake. It's a pancake. 3. It's a hot bath. It's a hot tub. 4. It's a long drive. It's a hard drive. 5. It's the back door. It's the backbone. 6. There are 4 cards. It's a card trick. 7. It's a small spot. It's a spotlight. 8. It's a good book. It's a phone book. Review exercise B. Intonation review test. Pause the CD and put an accent mark over the word that should be stressed. Check the answer key beginning on page 193. 1. They live in Los Angeles. 2. Give me a paper bag. 3. Is that your lunch bag? 4. 7-Eleven is a convenience store. 5. Lucky's is a convenience store. 6. Do your homework. 7. He's a good writer. 8. It's an apple pie. 9. It's a pineapple. 10. We like all things. 11. We like everything. 12. It's a moving van. 13. It's a new paper. 14. It's the newspaper. 15. The doll has glass eyes. 16. The doll has eyeglasses. 17. It's a high chair. 18. It's a high chair. 19. It's a baseball. 20. It's a blue ball. 3-word phrases. Review exercise C, modifying descriptive phrases. When you modify a descriptive phrase by adding an adjective or adverb, you maintain the original intonation pattern and simply add an additional stress point. 1. It's a short nail. It's a really short nail. 2. It's a chocolate cake. It's a tasty chocolate cake. 3. I took a hot bath. I took a long hot bath. 4. It's a hard drive. It's a long hard drive. 5. It's the back door. It's the only back door. 6. There are 4 cards. There are 4 slick cards. 7. It's a little spot. It's a little black spot. 8. It's a good book. It's a really good book. Review exercise D, modifying set phrases. When you modify a set phrase, you maintain the same pattern, leaving the new adjective unstressed. 1. It's a fingernail. It's a short fingernail. 2. It's a pancake. It's a delicious pancake. 3. It's a hot tub. It's a leaky hot tub. 4. It's a hard drive. It's an expensive hard drive. 5. It's the backbone. It's a long backbone. 6. It's a card trick. It's a clever card trick. 7. It's a spotlight. It's a bright spotlight. 8. It's a phone book. It's the new phone book. Review exercise E, 2- and 3-word set phrases. You should be pretty familiar with the idea of a set phrase by now. The next step is when you have more components that link together to form a new thing, a 3-word set phrase. Combine 3 things: finger plus nail plus clipper. Leave the stress on the first word, fingernail clipper. Although you're now using 3 words, they still mean one new thing. Write your own sentences using the word combinations from the previous exercises. 1. It's a fingernail. It's a fingernail clipper. 2. It's a pancake. It's a pancake shop. 3. It's a hot tub. It's a hot tub maker. 4. It's a hard drive. It's a hard drive holder. 5. It's the backbone. It's a backbone massage. 6. It's a playing card. It's a playing card rack. 7. It's a spotlight. It's a spotlight stand. 8. It's a phone book. It's a phone book listing. Review exercise F. 3-word phrase summary. Repeat the following sentences. Write your own sentences at the bottom, carrying over the same examples you used in the previous exercise. 1. A really short nail. A long fingernail. A fingernail clipper. 2. A big chocolate cake. A thin pancake. A pancake shop. 3. A long hot bath. A leaky hot tub. A hot tub maker. 4. A long boring drive. A new hard drive. A hard drive holder. 5. A broken back door. A long backbone. A backbone massage. 6. 4 slick cards. A new playing card. A playing card rack. 7. A small black spot. A bright spotlight. A spotlight stand. 8. A well-written book. An open phone book. A phone book listing. 9. A blind salesman. A blind salesman. 10. A light housekeeper. A lighthouse keeper. 11. A green house plant. A greenhouse plant.